Hey my dudes, how's it hanging? It's your boy ZNF1 here. So today I wanted to put together a little video for you guys on how to make a bow from scratch out in the wilderness, and all that fun stuff, because plenty handy, to have one of those in survival situation, especially to gather food and to protect yourself as well. But before we go on and get into this, let's cue intro. Alrighty, so kind of what you want to look for whenever you're looking for material to make a bow. You want to look for thin trees like this, so that way, find a nice good sturdy one. You want to get a young one that's nice and flexible. So that way it's nice and easy to bend and it's not going to snap on you. Whenever you're, looking for a tree to turn into a bow, you want to find one that's like a baby pretty much, just growing. So like, you don't want it to be like too thin, but you want it to be decently thick, so that way, it'll be nice and sturdy. But make sure you get one that's young and flexible, because whenever you sit there and, try to bend it, and whenever you're carving it, you want to make sure that it's got some of that bend still, so that way it can actually like curve, so you can make the bow with it. That would be the biggest reason why you want to get one that's kind of young, or a branch that's like similar in size and just, kind of young. And whenever you're cutting it, it helps to cut it at an angle, kind of, so that way you have the little bottom piece or the ends where you can slide it into, or you have the ends to where you can cut your, you have the ends where you can like cut or saw your little notches in for the cording that you're going to use. Then what you want to do is, take your bushcraft knife, or a knife that's basically full tang and goes all the way through the blade, and you want to, shave it down and everything. If you got knots and stuff like that from the branches, you want to make sure you go like in slight chopping motions, because you don't want to do it too hard, because if you make notches like in the front or the back of the bow, which is facing towards your target, it could cause the bow to snap. So you don't want to do that. So that's why you do slight chopping motions to get them out. In case you don't have anything like a hammer or anything to hammer the back of your hilt, what you can do is, you take a decent sized stick or like branch, and you take it, put your knife in where the notches are, so let's say it's here, and then you just tap it out, and it's an easier way to get those notches out, so you don't have to worry about it later. And then you just continue shaving. Normally you want to get a branch or one, like a tree sapling that's about like this size of this trunk here, or this branch here, or like actually twice the size of it, and you cut it down so that it's about this size pretty much. Then what you want to do is, once you're done shaving and everything, just sit there, take your bow string, get it ready. You want 8 feet of that cord too, like 8 to 10 feet roughly. Then you make your notches to put the cord and line the cord with it, and you tie it. Alright, so whenever you're shaving, like I was saying earlier, you can sit there and chop at it, do chopping motions, and it'll help to peel it off faster. Sometimes really all you need is make a slight cut in it too, and then you can honestly just peel a lot of it off like that. That's a good example right there. That fucking big old piece. Didn't have to cop all of that. In a survival situation, you know, obviously if you're to have something like that happen and you can save any amount of energy, doing something like that and peeling that off is really fucking good, because it'll save you a lot of calories and a lot of energy and time, so you're not having to worry about not having enough energy to go hunt later or something else. There's quite a few notches on this one. That's why you really shouldn't get or like choose a sapling that's too many branches. I chose this one because of time and because the fact that I had a very hard time finding one that didn't have very many branches. It's a really good idea to kind of like, if you're going to do this and you have the capability to, get the bow in like the early springtime, probably around mid-March to like April, early April. The reason why I say that is because trees will start to grow around then. Maybe do it like a little bit longer, you know, you could wait until May arguably. You should have some decent trees by then that have sprouted and everything like that, that will be ripe for the picking. But you want to use decent hardwood, you don't want to just use softwood. Eastern cedar is a good example. And then, you know, once you're done shaving off everything, you know, you can keep all that shaving for like kindling for fire, vice versa, as long as it's not like too wet. Or, I mean, you can do that, you just let it dry out. Do that, and then what you want to do next is you want to start doing your detail carving, so much slower carving. Nice steady strokes. Do that until you get your edges like rounded off and smaller than the base, or like the center stem of the whole thing. You want to get your top and your bottom to be like smaller, everything like that, so that it makes it nice and decent for the paracord or whatever cord you have to put around it. So once you got your bow all nice and like detailed and shaved nice and smoothly, you know, the next thing you want to do obviously is you want to create your notches in it. I kind of have some right here, and with those, basically, like, you just want to take your knife and put it in like a 45-degree angle. Not a 45-degree angle. I mean, you can go in first with the 45-degree angle and then kind of like change it to a 25 and just kind of like chop at it a little bit, and do the same with the other side. You know, just get your knife in there and then wedge it, and you kind of ultimately just pop it out. You want to get it thick enough, at least to where it's going to hold the string that you're using, or like hold the string where you wrap around a few times, it'll be square. You don't really necessarily need to have notches around the front side. Generally want to keep it in the belly of your bow, and the reason why that is because that's where the string is going to go, so it'll help keep that tension built up in there. but you can honestly, you don't always have to have a little notch here or like a sliver cut out in the front to hold your string. What you can do is you can like tie some string around it a couple of times to help keep it tense after you got your knot tied and everything like that. That way it'll keep it nice and compressed too. I have seen that been done, and it can be helpful as well. Ways to kind of like make sure that you can get your string on, or like make sure that everything's all prim and proper. Basically, it'll snap back pretty hard whenever you just like slightly, pull it back. It's a good way to make sure it's tense. You also have a decent amount of force whenever you push on it. You'll be able to feel resistance. And then whenever you are tying your knots or like stringing your bow, what you want to make sure to do is put it on the ground and put your foot on it. What you want to do first is get your little noose knot, and tie it and fasten it to the first little notch at the base, or like what you're going to have for the bottom of your bow, and then put your foot on the center of the bow, and then you want to tie your other noose knot and make sure it's got a loop through it, obviously, that you can fasten over the other end of the bow or the top of it. And then you want to make sure it's about anywhere between a foot to like 8 inches away from the top of the bow, obviously, or where you're going to fasten it to. And then you're going to want to bend up the base end of the stick or the top end of the stick and essentially stretch that loop over the end here of the bow or the top of the bow and latch it on there and then fasten it. You want to make sure that the knot's like right here in the crevice. It can also help to wrap paracord around it as well too, I have seen some of them do that. It can be very helpful. Well, it's not always necessary, but it does add a bit more pressure and tension on it. And then once you got that done, in order to test how flexible it is, put both feet down on the bow and pull the string or the cord, and that should tell you whether or not it's even on both sides. Once you got that done, obviously be able to sling it back and there'll be a nice snap to it. Another good thing to know, you can also make a handle out of the paracord if you have extra, or like any sort of strapping you can make from anything, like whether it's tree bark or like the inner bark of a tree, so it's kind of like the softer textures, or like any sort of like thick plants really you can wrap around it, to make it a little bit softer and easier to grip. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to use like natural tar or like glues, but you can also get like deer hides, or like if you kill any animals, you can use part of their hides to make a handle too. Always nice to have. And there you go, you got your bow. For this bow in particular, it's my first bow that I've made. I had a little bit of help on it too, but it's not going to be as strong as what I'd like it to be for like big game. So I'm honestly thinking I'm just going to keep it for small game hunting and for like bow fishing, since I got the excess paracord here. I decided that might be a good idea to keep on. I was going to retighten it later after toning it down a bit more at the top, but I actually thought that keeping this paracord on there and using it for like bow fishing wouldn't be a bad idea at all. So even with small game hunting, it still works pretty well too if I'm like at short range. But yeah. Alright, so that is going to be it for us today, my dudes. If you guys did enjoy, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me whenever you guys do this, and it helps to show me what all you're enjoying I'm putting out there for you. And then if you want to get notified when my next video goes live, go and hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified when that does happen. And as usual, my dudes, please don't forget to live long and prosper, and take care of peace, and then keep it 1,000,000% real. I will see you guys on the flip side.